Thank you for attending our Lunch and Learn. My name is Kaylee. I am the social media specialist here at Gannon Associate, and my counterpart here, Kyle, is our marketing coordinator. We'll be presenting this Lunch and Learn for you guys today. As you know, the topic is social media, so let's get started. So what is social media? Social media is connecting with your audience. It's building and maintaining your brand, educating your potential customers about your products or services, and of course, driving traffic and increasing sales. It is so important these days to use social media. It's still kind of up and coming, even though it's been around for a long time. So the cost of social media marketing is substantially lower than the cost of all of your other brands of marketing. And you can reach so many people that aren't normally reading papers, listening to the radio, things like that. The most important thing with social media, though, is that it's really about fostering connections. The hard sale on social media is basically dead. Nobody's going to respond to you saying, buy my product right now. They're more about that connection and the relationship. So in North America, 7 out of 10 internet users are active social media users. That's a lot of people, considering that in the States we have 7 million people. Globally, it's 3.5 billion. And those numbers are reflective. So 7 out of 10 in America reflects about 7 out of 10 globally as well. There are a lot of different social media platforms out there. This chart shows just a few of them, mainly the top ones. So you've got your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter. The only thing that's not on this chart is TikTok. TikTok is a relatively new platform. It's a short form video platform. And right now they're estimating about 80 million users monthly, the majority of which are under 24. That just goes to show that there are new platforms popping up every single day. Some of them, like TikTok, stick a lot harder. You have platforms like Vine, which is TikTok's predecessor, which died off after a while. But today we're going to focus on 6 of the main platforms, which are Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Pinterest. Keep in mind that social media is ever changing, and so new platforms are always evolving, but these ones seem to be the ones that are sticking around. Later, we'll also cover strategy and paid advertising. I will hand it off to Kyle.
All right. So we're going to get started here, go over each of the different social platforms we're focusing on today. If I, breeze over something or you have a specific question on anything, I can't say I'll be able to answer every question that you have for me, but definitely feel free to stop me at any time. We're going to start off with the biggest everybody probably knows about Facebook. It's got 2.35 billion users. It's definitely the largest, and every single business really should be on Facebook. It's one of those catch-alls that really doesn't, I guess if you're really focused on a very young audience, maybe not so much, but for almost all businesses, Facebook is going to be a spot that you want to be on. I've got a lot of good tools on Facebook. Things like, the insights and analytics let you go in and really dig in, see what where your followers are from, and their habits, and be able to see how much engagement you're getting compared to your total audience base and things of that nature. Facebook groups is something that I'm sure many of us are familiar with, but may not kind of realize the potential that groups have. Facebook has really made groups and the connection a big part of their platform, especially after COVID hit. They really started pushing different ways to connect through social media. Even before then, groups were a big tool. Things you can do with a lot of those groups, you can find different business organization type groups to join, or potentially different, if I'm trying to think of a good example off the top of my head, but if you're selling more of a product than a service, you can find those marketplace sort of apps or sort of groups. Some of them, the rummage sale type ones where everybody's just spitting out everything, may not be the best call, but
Yeah, a good
The one thing
example
that's
would be if there were, for example, some groups exist for new and used auto sales, people trying to sell their cars. A car dealership might join that for the purpose of either selling their cars or looking to purchase the cars that people are selling. They can also just kind of plug in different auto tips or tips for when you're purchasing cars, not from a dealership, things like that.
for sure. Then they also, obviously, a lot of us have seen, different videos on Facebook. It's definitely a good uh, point of contact to be able to show your face, have them hear your voice, uh, all from the comfort of their home. And we'll go in more depth on the advertising in a little bit here. Just another little stat I found that I wanted to share on Facebook. So granted, you're talking, this is kind of Facebook versus I'll go over those numbers when I get to Instagram. That'll be easier to talk about them then. The next one we're going to talk about is Twitter. Twitter is definitely a smaller platform compared to most of them, with only 330 million users. Doesn't mean it's not a good opportunity for you. In my personal opinion, so this could be, this is just me. Twitter is not a very good sales tool. There's going to be.
Kyle, we can't hear you. Something happened to the mic. Nope. Sorry, guys, technical difficulties.
Check, check.
Go ahead again, Kyle. No. It's going in and out.
How about that?
Better.
Okay.
Sorry,
about that.
guys. I'm sure by the end of 2020, everyone's used to these Zoom and team issues.
Right. Okay, so I'll I don't know how long ago I fell out there, but it's a smaller one, 330 million users. And my kind of opinion is that it's not a real good, not a real good sales tool. It's going to be a better engagement tool. People aren't on there, looking for asking their friends for advice on who's the best whatever in the area. They are following a lot of celebrities, things of that nature. Talking about events that are going on a lot, whether it's, people like to live tweet, so different events. So whether it's an award ceremony, or whatever it might be. The debates was a real hot one, the debate 2020, where people were just engaging with their audience and other people that are talking about hot topics through those hashtags. So if you kind of think of it without the hot topics and you were to find certain hashtags that are more industry related for you, it's a good way to kind of dig in, see whether it's other competitors, just other people you work with in the industry, or your consumers are saying about your service, your product, the industry as a whole. But they do have a variety of different tools here. You can share tweets. They have a maximum of 280 characters, so you have to be pretty succinct when you're tweeting. But you can also connect pictures and short video clips, GIFs, those sort of things, as well as chat functions and things of that nature. Up next, we have probably at least for right now, the second most relevant behind Facebook is Instagram, with over 1 billion users as of 2019. An important thing to kind of note here is that Facebook owns Instagram. So a lot of that engagement, a lot of profiles are connected between the two platforms. So if somebody has their Instagram and Facebook accounts linked and you like something, you like their, or the consumer likes your Facebook page, when you post on Instagram, there's a chance that those analytics kind of see, oh, you follow them on Facebook, here it is on Instagram. So you can engage with people that may have followed you, don't use Facebook as much, use Instagram more, and they can see your stuff more there. Instagram stories are a huge thing when it comes to Instagram. You've got your regular news feed sort of posts, but the stories, which Facebook has also introduced, but it's a bigger deal on Instagram for sure. Those posts that you have running along the top that only last for 24 hours maximum. At the end of the 24 hours, it expires and goes away. So you kind of have to stay on top of it in order to keep, if for example, links, you can't put a link in a normal news feed post, but you can link a story to your website. So if you want to push them away from Instagram, you'd have to use a story. They also have Instagram TV, very similar to Facebook and the other video sort of platforms. You can upload up to 60 seconds normally with a short little clip, and then they have the Instagram TV for longer clips where you can put whole episodes of things on there if you wanted. And they also have paid advertising. And actually, we'll probably lump that right in with the Facebook advertising, because now they've got the Facebook suite where they actually lump the two things together. And then the notes that I was going to say before, just to kind of break it down, they are definitely the two most popular. Facebook, obviously, over twice as big, but if you are aiming at a younger audience, let's see here, for up to 34 years old, give or take, you're going to find more of a percentage of the people on Instagram than on Facebook. So for example, the 25 to 34 range, you're looking at 33.1% of Instagram users land in that 25 to 34, where only 26.3 fall into that category on Facebook. Now, that is comparison to their total users. So Instagram having half the followers, you may very well find that there are more 25 to 34-year-olds on Facebook than there are on Instagram. But as things can progress, it seems more people are heading to Instagram. So as time goes on, it's probably going to become more and more relevant. I kind of mentioned this before, but you can't post links to your actual news feed, pictures or videos. You can post one link in your bio. So you can say link in the caption, you can say link in the bio, or however you want to direct them to that. Or you can use the Instagram stories that go away every 24 hours that have links that would send them back to your website or wherever you are trying to send them.
If you do have the need to post several links with your Instagram, you can always use the option of a link tree, which is like a third-party secondary site. So you would click the link on Instagram, it would take you to a link tree, and then the link tree would have your individual links. So you could use something like that, but typically Kyle's right, you would just post one link and then on a specific post say link in bio, or use your stories with a slide up option.
Okay, I believe that's everything I have to say on that one. Next up is LinkedIn. LinkedIn has about 660 million users, and this is going to be absolutely critical for you B2B businesses. If you are working more with engaging with other businesses than the everyday consumer on the street, you need to be on LinkedIn. You're not necessarily, I don't think I don't know about anybody else that's on LinkedIn, but I get different sales pitches in my inbox every 5 minutes and delete all of them. So I don't think you're going to bug people into buying from you on LinkedIn. The way I would kind of think of it is it's a good spot to network with other people in your industry, as well as kind of be seen as an industry leader and like an expert in the field. If right, I know, right? It's crazy how often I just checked my LinkedIn. I'm not on that one all the time, and I had like 15, 20 messages of people just trying to get me to buy their stuff. Let's see here. Where was I? So they, like I said, it's going to help kind of be seen as an industry expert. People don't want to just see something and aren't going to buy it. They want to know who you are, know they can trust you, and that sort of being an expert in your field is a good way to build that trust. So along with, having a personal page, you can make a business page for your business. And underneath that, you'll have these showcase pages, which are pretty similar to the business pages, but you can kind of think of them as business sub pages. So if you have a particular branch or a service that is, different enough and big enough to stand alone as its kind of own page, but it is still part of the whole system, you can kind of create a level system like that. An example would be like the Guthrie Health Systems could have a Robert Packer Hospital showcase page. Just to give you an idea. Then they also have the career pages, and that allows you to kind of give potential candidates for different positions a feel for what you do, what your brand is, like your values and things like that, as well as list your jobs that are available right on LinkedIn. And people are out doing searches looking for those jobs. So you don't necessarily have to go out and buy, advertising space to look for an open position if you have a good audience on LinkedIn. And as well as that is they have the advertising as well. Basically, all of these sites have a setup advertising, and they'll have the tools themselves will be, some will be more robust than others. You'll have more options than others, but at its absolute core for a basic sort of class, it's all going to give you the same sort of things, where you'll be able to target on location and interests and ages and all sorts of different demographics. Up next is YouTube, and I think YouTube is one of the most slept on social media sites for the average business owner. So they've got 2 billion users, and it is considered to be the second most used search engine after Google. They process more than 3 billion searches a month, and over 100 hours of video is uploaded every minute. And YouTube is bigger than Bing, Yahoo, Ask, and AOL combined. So YouTube is a huge platform that people are out looking for information. A lot of times when they're going out and looking for information, some people are skipping Google and going straight to YouTube because they'd rather watch something than read something. So if you can make any kind of video content, start doing that and start building it out on YouTube. That's exactly right. I can't tell who's messaging from my spot here, but I do see Google owns YouTube now. Yes, that is okay. And that is true. Google does own YouTube, and that actually leads me perfectly into why I think it's so underrated is because of that relationship. Oftentimes when you go out and you do a Google search, you'll notice that right across the top, you'll get 4 or 5 YouTube options. Google wants to keep you on their sites if they can do that. Traffic is the name of the game for them. If they can keep you on there, they make more money. So they want to keep you there if they can. So they'll send you to YouTube over other places if it's a possibility. So if you know what if you have a frequently asked question that's always asked all the time, or just something in the industry as a whole people don't understand and are people are always doing Google searches on the same sort of topic. If you can make a video that has, a title that that makes it clear that you're answering that question and hit some of those keywords that people are searching in the description, you've got a good shot at being listed as one of the top YouTube or one of the top searches on Google, even if you don't have a YouTube audience. So even if you don't have a big audience, if you have the right content out there that can be found in a Google search later, that could just live out there for as long as it needs to and still be driving you traffic on generally warm leads who are actively out looking for information as opposed to trying to just stuff an advertisement in their face. At some other point. On YouTube, you have the YouTube creator space, which is a real neat kind of editing. I don't want to call it a software, but it almost is. It's not super robust. If you're trying to do real in-depth edits, you're probably not going to want to use YouTube creator space for the edits anyway, but you'll still use that creator space to do things like add the little subscribe now cards or a link to a different video if you're referencing if you're doing like a multiple step process where you're talking about step 3, go back and watch step 2 right here, have the card pop up above your head. They also have an analytics set up, which is quite robust. You can imagine, I don't know how many folks have looked at Google Analytics, but being owned by Google, they go pretty crazy on that stuff. So you can go quite in depth. And then they also, again, have an advertising platform. To be honest, I've never actually run an ad on YouTube, though, so I can't really speak for how well that works.
It works pretty well. You do have to have a audience of, I think, 100 people to be able to put your own ads on people's videos. And I think it's 150 or 200 people to be able to have people advertise on your video. So YouTube does have those limits. Obviously, if you're advertising on other people's videos, you're paying for that. If they're advertising on yours, you can actually monetize those videos and make money. It's a little different. There's also the option on YouTube to contact creators and advertise in their videos. But that's something you see a lot more with larger industries, companies such as like Pepsi or Netflix.
Okay. See, make sure I got all that. I believe so. And the last social media site we're going to talk about today is Pinterest. It's this one is a little more of a niche, almost social media. It's got 320 million users, and it is going to be good for stores, people that sell physical products. Is probably going to be where you've got the most potential there. There's also, not that you can post about whatever you want on there, but there definitely is a track of common topics on Pinterest that for whatever reason doesn't seem to expand all that much. So some of the very top categories on Pinterest are home decor, things like home accessories, room decor, walls, do-it-yourself crafts is one of the top ones, art, education, women's fashion, weddings and wedding planning, beauty, etc. Things along those lines are very, very popular on Pinterest. Just an interesting fact I just heard earlier, actually. 70% of Pinterest users are female. So that may help you in if you're, have any gender-specific advertisements or products that you're thinking. If it leans more towards females, Pinterest could be a good option for you, especially if you land in one of those categories. And there's a lot more. I just named a few. So definitely go check out what their top categories are. And then the one other type of business that I really feel like could do real well on Pinterest is our bloggers. Sort of, I know there's probably not too much anybody here that's putting out content to create traffic on their website to sell advertisements, but building that traffic to your site, Pinterest is the best of all 6 of these as far as allowing you to leave the site. Whenever you're thinking about these social media, they're selling advertisements to you. So the more you're on their site, the more they make. So all their things are set up to try to keep you on the site. So Facebook, if you're posting links to other sites, unless you have a real constant engagement with those sort of links, their reach is going to get suppressed. Same goes with Twitter. Instagram doesn't even let you put the links in the captions. So they want to keep you on the sites, where Pinterest is basically a bulletin board of pictures, videos, a collection of things that are purposely made to send you to your website or to a different article. So in that regard, if you feel getting them to your website is a big, important part of your sales process, that if you can find the right content that engages with people on Pinterest, you can get them to click and leave Pinterest to get to your website and start that process for you. So they also have the Buyable Pins. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm never sold anything on Pinterest either. So this is where I'm a little nervous to talk about it. But they are basically a kind of verified merchant program of sorts, just to give you, once you've been on there, you've gotten some business through it. It's like a verified check mark. This person's legitimate. It's not just some Joe Schmo who made up an account and is trying to scam you out of your money. So that helps. Sorry?
Go ahead. So buyable pins are basically Pinterest's way of allowing the user to purchase the product directly through Pinterest. So you can set up with Pinterest basically an online store of sorts. And let's say you're a retail store, and I know we have one right here locally across the street that sells bath bombs and things like that. You can post pictures of your bath bombs on Pinterest, and girls look it on there all the time, search how to make bath bombs or bath bomb ideas, and your picture can show up. They can actually click on the picture and purchase it right within the Pinterest platform. And then, of course, you have to be vetted to use these, verified, like Kyle said. And then any money made through that would come directly to you through bank transfers and things like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I was a little off. So that's the actual sales tool, and you have to be verified. I was glancing at my notes, and
you're fine.
That's the one I don't really play with too much. So, but yeah. So as well, they're starting their own sort of stories, just like Instagram has, Facebook has.
Almost identical to Instagram stories, yeah.
Right. It looks a lot like it. It's in a beta testing now. So if you are on Pinterest and not aware of it, you could get access to it, but you have to apply to use it right now. So you may want to look.
It seems to be that their verified merchants are the ones that are getting access first.
Okay, that makes sense.
And they also do advertising, which is basically, it's two different things a little bit, but it's essentially the Buyable Pins program. I mean, you can advertise without having the buyable option, but it's essentially the same thing.
Yep, that's all we got there. So now that we're done going over the basics of the different major sites anyway, TikTok is definitely, I'll just say, if you have any interest in TikTok, that is going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be, it is making Instagram and Facebook sweat right now. That's the one that they are worried about right now. I will tell you that for sure.
So since the creation of this presentation, the different sites have come out with their own kind of version of TikTok. So on Twitter, you have Fleets, and on Instagram, I could be wrong. I want to say they're called Slides or something like that. It's essentially TikTok. These different platforms are trying to figure out how to imitate TikTok because it is doing so well and it is rising through the ranks so quickly. And so TikTok's definitely a place that if your business is something that could benefit from that, it might be worth the look.
Right. So TikTok is definitely, it's a way, way younger audience.
Like we said, majority of those 80 million are under 24.
Yeah, it's so, you're not looking at a bunch of people with, a whole lot of disposable income necessarily, but it is a great way to engage. If you have, you're clever and can have funny ideas, you can, it is, the reach you can get on it is crazy. All you have to do is get a little bit of traction and things blow up on there so fast, and you can get a lot of reach. And I've seen a lot of professionals kind of playing off of some of the trends and kind of just making jokes about things. This is probably, I don't know why this is the example that but I can't grab anything. But there's a bunch of fun dances people do on there and are taking videos of themselves. Well, I saw last week that it looked like somebody had a cell phone in a jail and had a couple of inmates doing one of the funny TikTok dances. Well, a lawyer sees this, makes his own version, makes a duo thing where the two of them, a duet where they're both in the video, and he's dancing. The caption is me knowing I'm gonna get booked for another court case or something like that. So he found a way to kind of like,
Right, he
this
played
guy's
off of
doing
what
something
they did.
illegal. I'm a lawyer. I'm gonna get paid because he's doing something illegal, so I'm dancing with him. Like, so he made it kind of a funny. It's, that's probably not the best example just because of the legality part of that. But if you can come up, see those trends. If there's any way you can kind of twist that into your business, you can get a lot of brand recognition that way, through that. But sorry, I got a little off track, but I just think TikTok is becoming one of those top ones and at least needed to be mentioned briefly. The current trends, a lot of these platforms are focusing on engagement over your follower count now. The vanity metrics, your number of likes and shares and comments, those sort of things are being de-emphasized. You've got, and honestly, a lot of that comes from the younger generation. A lot of mental health problems and people competing over likes and lots of stuff like that. So Instagram's removed likes on a lot of platforms where you can't tell how many people like things. So they're really going for just focus on the engagement. Don't worry about the total number. Make quality connections. We kind of talked about the groups and online communities, both on Facebook. You can find lots of different groups. LinkedIn is also a great avenue to find different business groups to be a part of.
Another good example of that, I know we have Connie here from the Endless Mountain Vet. Shelters and vet clinics and pet rescues tend to be joining lost pet groups. And then if they have a pet come in, they can post it. They can also keep an eye on the page and just kind of monitor, if any lost pet thing. They can also post tips on like what to do when you lose a pet, the importance of microchipping, any microchipping sales you may be doing, things like that. So that's a good example directed towards what you guys do.
Yeah, that's a great example. Then the third thing here is video. It is so important now. There are more and more people that don't want to read an article. They'd rather listen to you talk about this sort of thing. It also, it works a lot better in making connections with people than any sort of just a picture or a blog. Being able to hear somebody's voice, see their face, and kind of, it feels like you're more having a conversation with somebody than just reading a news brief about somebody. We talked about how much video is going up on YouTube all the time, and the ways that you can find the links to YouTube, so I won't beat that to death. But one thing we did want to mention here, you do want to consider where you're posting these videos. On Facebook, there are studies that show that over 85% of the videos watched on Facebook are done so without sound. So the closed captioning sort of thing, making captions where you can have what's being said written on the bottom is major. It's whether it's, somebody just flipping through when they're on the bus and they don't want everybody else hearing what they're listening to, they can read the captions. So that way you can still get those views and engagement even without hearing it. But yeah, video is so huge, so huge.
And similarly to what Kyle said about Facebook, YouTube users tend to listen just audio as well. So a lot of times people will play a YouTube video and just listen to it without physically watching it. So you'll see a lot of podcasts post videos on YouTube, things like that. So with YouTube, your sound is heavily important, whereas with Facebook, your visuals are heavily important, but they're both important. The one that's not heavily important is still important, if that makes sense.
Right. The last thing I will mention is about video is live functions. You can go live videos on Facebook. You can do it in your Instagram stories, Twitter too. You can do it on YouTube. I know those sort of live event recordings. Those sites are usually pushing the reach of those things more than the average video, more than your average video anyway. So I know, like Shay Creations, Sarah wasn't able to get on, but I know we talked about this earlier in the year. She had never made videos, and now she's doing Facebook Lives every other day and making tons of sales doing it. I asked her if I could use her as an example in this of how well that worked. And she's doing a live video tonight, so feel free to go check that out. And she said she felt so awkward and it was uncomfortable and she didn't want to do it, but now with a little practice, she's been doing them. She feels so much more comfortable with it. It's really one of those things you gotta just jump into. It's gonna feel weird the first couple times, but it'll get better, I promise. Next is the brand activism and corporate responsibility. Consumers are more concerned now than ever with what you're doing outside of your business, the different support you give in the community, the types of, basically your values and what you stand for, and your involvement, what you do in your communities. If you are doing different community service events, sponsorships, things of that nature, take a picture while you're there, post it, a little video live thing where, hey, we're at this street fair, whatever it might be. You can engage people really well by just talking about what you do in the community. And then, of course, the increased social commerce. Even before COVID started, this was a huge trend where more and more people are buying solely online, never going to a store. Now add COVID to the mix, and darn near everybody is doing not all their shopping, but a lot of their shopping online now. So being able to have, an online store or at least some way to be able to and make those sales online is going to be a big deal for you moving forward. And I can't imagine even after, vaccines are out and people are I don't see us like that going away. That's still not going to go away or anything like that. Like having those e-commerce stores are going to be a big deal.
And that ties into social media because on Facebook, you have the option to have a store with your Facebook page. Of course, we talked about Buyable Pins. Instagram has the option that you can link a store into it, things like that. So now we're going to touch a little bit on paid advertising. So with paid advertising, you are going to be able to reach a wider audience and really target in on those audiences based on your demographics, their interests, behaviors, and more. Obviously, we all know social media, technology, it's quote unquote listening to us, collecting information. And so with that information, marketing is able to really target in and display ads to you that are specific to you and your needs. So I am actually going to switch this over and we will walk through a mock ad. So give me one moment. While I'm doing this, Kyle, if any questions come up, can you just go ahead and let me know because I won't be able to see them while this is open. Okay, so when you go to Facebook, and actually I will walk you through that. I'll start here. This will be easier. So when you're on Facebook, your business pages actually link into your personal page. So up here, you'll have your ads manager. So you'll go ahead and click that. And then once you are in ad manager, this is what it'll look like. If you have multiple businesses, this will be a pull down screen. I manage social media for a couple different businesses, so we'll just go under my name for this mock ad so that I don't accidentally spend company money. So you'll hit create under the campaign tab. So how the Facebook ads and each platform is going to be a little bit different. Each social media platform will have how-to videos and a handout following this event. Those links will be in the handout. On here, you'll create a campaign followed by an ad set and then an ad. So for today's campaign, we're just going to do a little bit of brand awareness. There are different options here. So reach, we could drive more traffic to our site. We could get engagement up. If we had a mobile app, we can increase app installs on people's phones. If it's a video, I could do video views. If I wanted leads, I could do lead generation. I could increase the messages that I'm getting. And then if I were a retail store, I could do more catalog sales or store traffic or even increase conversations online. So today we're just going to go with some brand awareness. So brand awareness is most likely, it's going to show your ads to people who are most likely to remember them. You can name your campaign here. I'm just going to go with new campaign. Okay, so new campaign. And then if you had a special ad category, this is where you would turn it on. So that means that your ad is related to credit, employment or housing, social issues, the election, or politics. Mine will not be, so I'm going to leave that off. As you come down here, you've got your campaign details. I'm going to leave mine in auction mode. Basically, what that means is that on Facebook, for an ad, each time you are paying a set amount. So you're either going to pay a daily budget or a lifetime budget, but the actual amount spent per impression, meaning per person that sees your ad, is not going to be set impression to impression. It's going to waver a little bit. So it might be $1 here, 25 cents here. Auction is going to get me the best price for that impression at that time. If you wanted to do A/B testing, here's where you could do that. A/B testing is basically you can use different images and graphics against each other or different copy or text. So let's say I had a picture of a kitten and a picture of a puppy, and I didn't know which would do better. I would put in both as an A/B test, and then the ad itself will run them both at the same time, and then whichever one seems to be working better is what they'll stick with. But today I just have the one graphic, so we'll just leave that off. Come on, scroll down. So then campaign budget, I'm going to turn that on. And here's where you can set your budget. I prefer a lifetime budget. The reason that I prefer a lifetime budget is that I know I'm spending X amount of dollars and that's it. With lifetime budgets, depending on the platform, some platforms will say in their fine print that they can go over a little bit. With Facebook, I think it's 10%. So if I were to set my budget for $10, they can go over by another $1. So I'm actually, for this campaign, going to set it for $250. That's going to get us a lot of impressions. Obviously, we're not spending real money, but if we were. How was hiding my next button? And then I'm going to go with lowest cost bid strategy, meaning I want the most impressions for the lowest amount of money per impression. And hit next. So here's where you're going to create your ad set. Your ad set is basically you defining who you want to see your ad. So you can name it. I'm just going to leave mine as new ad set name. And then here's your dynamic creative. Let's say you have various audiences within this one. You can create different pictures or copy for each subcategory. So let's say I was just targeting everybody. I could do a different picture for each age range or a different text for each age range. So here's where you can set your date. Let's leave this at a month. But if you wanted to, you could run it for 3 months, 4 months, or more. Up in the corner here, you'll see this start to change as I go more in depth, but this is your audience definition. This is showing you whether your audience is too specific or too broad. The green range is about where you want to be, and it's going to show you how many people. So if I were to run this ad just now, as is, this is how many people I would reach. That's a lot of people. So let's narrow this down a little bit. So I am going to create a custom audience. A lookalike audience basically means that Facebook will take your current followers and they are going to create a lookalike. So basically, your followers' age ranges, their gender, their location, their marital status, things like that. Facebook is going to create a lookalike with people similar to that and target them. You can also target based on your website. So you can put a Facebook pixel in your website and tailor your audience targeting to the people who visited your website. Same thing with your mobile app. You could also use a customer list. So if you have a list of emails, you can target them. The only thing I will say with that is that only works if the email you're targeting is the email that they've used for their Facebook page. And then offline. You can get an audience of people who've interacted with your business in store or over the phone. That's a little more tricky. Again, it deals with that Google Pixel and your Wi-Fi network and things like that. You can also use different sources like your video, Instagram account, if you had lead forms that had been filled out, things like that. We're going to go super simple today, and we are just going to edit in here. So I want to target the Valley. So I'm going to hit, because right now this is targeting the United States. So we're going to go, I could type correctly. I'm going to put in a zip code. So now this is targeting the Valley region. Obviously, we're going a little more to each end. You can exclude locations if you need to. So let's say I wanted to target the Valley. And there we go. So that's a little bigger. I'm going to target a good chunk of Bradford County there. Age range. So let's say I wanted to target 20 to 50-year-olds. We'll target all genders, all languages. You can have a graphic. Education level, financial, any life events, parents, relationship, work. So let's say I wanted to target people maybe I'm a jewelry store and I'm looking for people who are in new relationships. Here's the problem with that. Now it's saying I've gotten too specific. So if that happens, you may need to expand your age range or your location area, things like that. For now, we'll just leave it people in the Valley between 20 and 50. That's giving me about 11,000 people. That's a pretty good range. We'll target them.
Haley,
Yeah.
sorry. If you put in an actual town instead of a zip code, I think it gives you, is that what gives you the mileage scale?
Yes. Yep. So
If you might want to show that just so that you can see there's a little more flexibility than having to punch in every zip code.
that's not. Let me delete one of these and we'll just type it in.
That's a good go.
Since it doesn't want to recognize Waverly. Yeah. So when you type in, if you type in a town rather than a zip code, you can get mileage. So I can say, I can go from 10 to 50 and it'll give me that range. You can also type in that specific zip code. So we'll just leave it like that because we're running a little low on time. And then the last thing you're going to do is create your ad. So you'll come in here and you'll name your ad. You want to make sure, again, if you're managing multiple pages, to come into here and identify which page you want to do. Ignore this error. That's just saying that I don't have payment set up for myself. And then you can choose between a single image or a carousel, which is more images that are going to scroll. You can also add playable source files or an instant experience. For now, we'll just leave it single. And then scroll here. Here's where you can change your picture and your text. You can add a URL for your website. And then your display link. So if I didn't want my website to display like that, I could change what it's saying. So I didn't format that well. It would still take you.
I think you just flipped the preview off. Oh.
No, it didn't like that I only typed a word. But if you do change your display link, it'll still take you to your website. It'll just say something different. And then you can change your call to action button. So if we look over here at this example, this is one for another company I manage, agri-services agency. They're farming, dairy, things like that. So it's got the copy here. It's pulling in the picture. If somebody clicks this learn more button, that will take them to my website. And this ad, that's what it would look like. And you can click through here and see what it would look like on different platforms, things like that. This is what it would look like in the video feed. So those are some different options. Now I'm going to jump back into the PowerPoint here. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yep.
Okay. So those are some options for your paid advertising. And again, I will put those links in the handout that you guys will be getting. So real quick, we're going to cover two last topics. And then if you guys have any questions, we'll cover those. So creating content. When you're thinking about creating content for your social media, you want to remember that less is more. So don't focus so much on the quantity of content rather than the quality. Your quantity is going to grow, but the quality is what's going to get you engagement. It's what's going to get you followers. It's what's going to get people engaged in your business. Provide value to your audience. So that doesn't necessarily mean that every single thing you're putting out is, hey, we got this new product and here's a sale on it. You could post a happy birthday post or a store anniversary. You could post, hey, it's Tuesday and we decided to do Taco Tuesday. That'll get a conversation rolling. And like we said, the important thing is about that relationship. It's about that engagement. So if you can get a conversation going and you can talk to your clients, you're more likely to get sales out of that in the end. Document more and create less. So rather than focusing on, I need a post, let's do Donut Friday or whatever, document what's actually happening in your store. If you're having a grand opening, post that. If it's Christmas and you've got Santa in your store, post that. If you're just doing a sale or you've got new products in, post that. Document what's happening in your everyday life at your business. Be authentic, be yourself. Don't be fake online. People can tell what's fake and what's not, and they'll respond more to authenticity. And ride the viral trends. If you take a look again in social media, we just did a Dunkin' Donuts rock video. It did very well. It was one of our more fun projects that we've done recently. And locally, you guys know the Dunkin' Rock has become famous in its own right. And so we kind of rode that out and we said, we're going to do a safety video. Lots of people keep hitting this rock. We're going to see what we can do. We've also done the eating a lemon with a straight face challenge. Failed that one, but did well. We did no straight faces in that. But ride those viral trends. If it's something you can do safely and won't negatively impact your business, go ahead and do it. It can be fun and show people that there's actual people behind your business. You don't need to fill a calendar. You want to create content to fill a need. And lastly, your brand persona. This is where you want to be thinking about, what are your goals as a business? Which type of social media platforms are right for you, and what type of content do you want to share? So when you think about your social media, you always want to start with what your goals are. Obviously, for a lot of people, those goals are sales. But how do you get there? Do you want to implement new products throughout the year? Are you looking to push certain services more than others? Are you just looking to gain more of an audience? Then look at your social media platforms. Obviously, like Kyle said, Facebook is a great starting place for anybody and everybody. But beyond that, where can you go? Instagram and Pinterest are perfect for retail spheres. Twitter is great for something that's a little bit more newsy or educational. LinkedIn is awesome for business to business sales. So think about which social media platforms are really right for you. Don't just start them all at once. Start with one, get really good at it, and then move on. And then think about what kind of content you want to share. So if you are a retail place, you may be wanting to share your sales that are coming up. If you're more service, you might want to be educating your clients on what you can do for them and how your services are going to improve their life or their well-being. Plan ahead, listen to your people, engage with them, and monitor your analytics. By planning ahead, you can plan ahead, I would say probably 50 to 60% of your content. Obviously, you're going to have that social media content that's very in that moment. You just see something and you have to post it. But you can plan ahead. You can plan ahead on your sales. You can plan ahead on upcoming holidays or events that may be pre-planned, things like that. When you're planning ahead, you won't get so overwhelmed. Listen and engage. You want to listen to your clients and engage to what they're saying. If you're posting something and it's not getting much reaction, maybe change what you're posting. If you're posting something and it's blowing up, maybe do more of that. And when monitor your analytics, you're gonna that falls right in hand with listening and engaging. You're gonna see what's doing really well for you and what's working and what's not, and adjust as needed. And that comes to the end of our presentation. So does anybody have any questions specifically that we could answer? You can say them or you can type them in the chat, whatever you prefer.
While they're coming in, just the one last thing I want to throw in on that last kind of coming up with your ideas and what you want to do. One thing I can say that has helped me a lot personally is find someone who you really like on social media. It can be, for me, it's Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V is the king when it comes to this marketing, social media stuff. And warning to everybody, if you don't like cursing, just don't listen to him. But he's really good, and it doesn't have to be him. But find somebody that you see their content and go, yeah, that they're always ahead of things. I really like their creative. I like what they're coming up with. Follow it and try to piggyback off of what they're doing. Watch what they're doing. Try to emulate what they're doing. Find people that are doing well and do the same thing.
You can do the same thing within your industry. So if you're a small business, find other small businesses in your area that are doing well. What are they doing well? What are they not doing well? If you're a veterinary clinic, find other veterinary clinic social media.
Better
I will.
yet, people that are out of the area that don't
Yeah,
compete with you. So find a veterinary clinic that's kicking butt in California and then see what they're doing on social media. You might even be able to message them, hey, how'd you do this?
yeah.
They're not a competitor. They might help you.
There's a saying in marketing that the best ideas are stolen ideas. And as crazy as that sounds, it's true. Don't reinvent the wheel. Use what you already have. Don't stress out. And you guys can do this. Do social media. So I don't see any questions coming in. Correct. Not stolen, repurposed. I love that. Might have to change the saying. I don't see any questions coming in. You guys are absolutely more than welcome to email either Kyle or myself, or that marketing@gannonAssociates.com if you do have any questions later on. For now, we'll go ahead and end, and you guys can expect a copy of this recording along with a handout in your inbox before the week's end. So thanks guys so much. Have a great day.
And ABA folks, feel free if you have any follow-ups, you didn't get enough of a particular thing, and I'm using this to help give me ideas for what we're gonna make those more one-off 10-minute, 15-minute videos. So if you have any other ideas for those, shoot them my way as well.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.